Let us continue to look at the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. My main plan for this year is to finish the 3 Shastras this year, and I really hope that you can spend some time on them. I hope that you can prepare and study it all the way from the beginning to the end. It will be good for you to maintain your diligence in the study of it. Now let's look at the 4th one. It says, regarding giving up concern for this life through remembering impermanence, as mentioned in the shloka, separated from each and every long-acquainted companion, leaving behind hard-earned wealth and possessions. Guest-like consciousness abandons its guest house, the body, to give up concern for this life is the practice of a bodhisattva. Regardless of how many friends and loved ones, such as your parents, we may have, and even those who have long accompanied us, and with whom we have even spent our entire lives, at the moment of death, will either abandon us or we will abandon them. Things could happen. It could be that they abandon us or we them. It is certain that we will become separated from each other. Talking about impermanence, I don't often hear how our Sangha members would talk about impermanence. The fact is, if you do contemplate upon impermanence, you would often talk about it. You would often say that, oh, it happened because it's impermanent. It is impermanent. It is impermanent. So you would often remember that. And then he continued to say that our possessions and wealth that we, undoubted by evil and suffering, have struggled to amass by means of great hardship, cannot be carried with us at the point of death. Not even the tiniest scrap can follow us. If you were to be poor at the time of death, you would probably feel fine. Whatever you have at home, you would know that you're already poor and you really don't have much of attachment to materialistic things. But if someone who's really rich at the time of death, they can take away all the possessions that they have. They would struggle a lot. Whenever we look at those wealthy people at the time of death, it is indeed quite pitiful. Patrul Rinpoche once said that at the time of death, people would leave this life just as taking yak hair from the ghee, from the butter lamp, or from the butter. People don't have merit. They would not appreciate the flavor of ghee. In Tibet, if you don't eat ghee, then you really don't know how to enjoy the best kind of food. People would say that, oh, it smells like ghee, as if the smell of ghee is the most terrible smell, but that is not true. People would say that, oh, you smell like ghee. If you were to have the smell of ghee, it is a sign for having endowed with great merit and endowed with great happiness. The smell of ghee is really wonderful. In the ghee butter, if you were to take a yak hair out from it, at the time of parting from this world, we're just like that. While the mind refuses to let go, still leaving everything behind it parts like a hair plucked from a block of butter. Not only that, this guest house of body, which has always accompanied us and which is concocted of a mass of flesh and bones, will be flung away by its guest-like consciousness as we part alone and friendless for an unknown destination. We would be heading to a completely unknown, completely foreign place. At the time of death, it is just like going to a place that we have no idea of. It is completely unknown, and that would be quite terrifying. Thus, one reflects on all aspects of departure from this life. From the present day on guard, giving up concerns for all the activities of this life, they abound with the shortcomings and triviality, such as vanquishing vanquishing enemies, seeing and catering to friends, and cultivating fields, and so on and so forth. Instead, give rise to a mind that strives for the sake of the next life and beyond. In this way, one enters the Dharma. So you can contemplate upon the steady contemplation and practice of the Dharma, such as the practice of a Bodhisattva, whereby they cast off concerns for this lifetime. At the time of death, we would have to abandon and give up all the attachments that we have, maybe to the relatives and loved ones, or the wealth, or our body. So we have to let go of all of that. The other day when we studied the wish-fulfilling treasury, talks about the body is no other than the habitual tendencies of the true meaning and the habitual tendencies of the environment. After having this body, it is simply, so the body is simply the aggregates of that. In the Shangama Sutra, it says that just like how a water bubble grasps the ocean, we also rely on this body in the same way. Furthermore, from the sutra, the three realms are impermanent like autumn clouds. Seeing the birth and death of beings is like watching a drama. This particular verse is something I really enjoyed quoting and reciting. It is just like the autumn clouds. The samsara of three existences sometimes would appear, sometimes would then disappear. It is just like a drama. Whenever we watch the birth and death of the sentient beings, there are numerous other examples which all show that the outer vessel and the inner contents are impermanent. Stated from the Jakarta stories, from the point when one first enters the womb, all worldly beings, having entered that path, will, without exception, straying onto another path, come ever closer to Lord of Death. If you remember that we studied the story of the King Prasanati, he said that he aged, when he was 20, he said that he was already more senior than the age of 10, and then the age of 30 and 40, and continued to say that he continued to age again and again. So, just like that, we kept on walking forward to the destination of death. We will, without exception, come ever closer to Lord of Death. And then from the way of the Bodhisattva, caught by the net of negative emotions, entangled in the trap of rebirth, yet I am still not aware that I have strayed into the mouth of the Lord of Death. Since whoever at the outset is born, also not beyond death in the end, one should make remembrance of death one's contemplation. Though there are many different approaches to contemplation, here the contemplation of the three roots, the 9 reasons, and the 3 decisions will be explained. The 3 roots are as following. Death is certain. When we will die is uncertain. At the point of death, nothing other than Dharma is of benefit. At the time of death, there is no relative or family or friends or wealth can help you whatsoever. You need to remember that. And then, as for these are the 3 roots. I think the 3 roots are taught. In the gates of training the mind, as well as Lam Rim. The 3 roots, 9 reasons. I remembered I taught on this. Is it in the gates of training the mind? Yes, right? Okay, so as for the first root, the certainty of death, there are the 3 explanations. In the past, no one has ever remained never to die. The physical body is conditioned. Life is being depleted with each instant. The first one, there are the three reasons associated to the certainty of death. And then the second, concerning the second, there are three. The lifespan is uncertain, the body lacks any core, any substance, and then circumstances conducive to death are plentiful. Concerning to the third, the failure of anything other than Dharma to benefit at the point of death, friends will be of no benefit. Food and wealth will be of no benefit. Even one's body will be of no benefit. All these points established the certainty of death and so forth. Without elaborating on each of these extensively, the last three reasons are explicitly identified in the root verse. Moreover, since it is certain that one will die, one decides on the need to practice the Dharma so that there will be definitive benefit at the point of death. Since the time of death is uncertain, one decides on the need to practice the Dharma from the present moment on. Since nothing whatsoever other than the Dharma is of benefit, one decides on the need of practice solely the Dharma, especially the practice of emptiness and bodhicitta. You need to practice the preliminaries. For that, I really encourage all of you to be diligent. Don't be lazy. Especially as practitioners, we need to engage in the group meditation practice. We need to start from there, and then in the second half of the year, we will actually implement all of those kinds of practices. So first of all, you need to renounce all of the worldly concerns. We need to then stop and eradicate all kinds of vicious thoughts, vicious conceptual thoughts. If we were to wear the monastic robes but generate all kinds of lowly intentions, then that would not be very dignified. So we need to try our best to stop that. As stated in the way of the Bodhisattva, it says that forsaking everything, one must depart. But because of not understanding that, I have done so much evil for the sake of friends and foe. And then from a sutra of all the plowing, the autumn plowing is the best. Why plowing autumn, I wonder? Thus, if we become involved with the fantasies of this life, whatever goodness we create will not return into the genuine divine Dharma, but instead it will become a mere reflection of it. It is simply a reflection. Therefore, we should not get involved in that way. It is taught that the extraordinary direct cause of cutting through fantasies regarding this life is precisely this contemplation on death. The reason we grasp onto this lifetime is because we don't practice impermanence and death. If we were to practice diligently on the contemplation of death, of impermanence, then you would definitely be able to renounce this lifetime, the graspings of this lifetime. Lots of people would ask, well, I still have lots of grasping to this lifetime. What should I do? Well, you should practice on contemplating on death and impermanence. In such a way, you would be able to eradicate lots of the attachment to this lifetime. Moreover, Lord Atisha stated the following: casting everything behind, you must depart. You have to give up everything, because everything will leave you. Whatever kinds of nice constructions or decorations that you have at your home, you will have to part ways from it. Whatever things you have, you may hold on to them, you would grasp onto them. Eventually, you will have to give up them. Some people really like their cars. After they die, lots of people don't even want to sit in that person's car anymore because it is possible that the mortal body of that person is still sitting inside the car. It is stated, lots of the stories stated such incidents. As long as you have grasping, it is possible. Therefore, give up all pursuits and be without attachment toward anything. Juntunpa explains life is fleeting, like a flash of lightning illuminating the sky. It is a phenomenon that perishes as soon as it occurs. And if we don't give up thoughts of this life, then whatever we do will not become the Dharma. Whatever we do, give teachings or upholding the precepts, as long as you don't give up grasping for this life, then they are not the Dharma. As a genuine practitioner who succeeded in the practice, then in their mind stream there is a bodhicitta, there is selflessness, the understanding of selflessness and the emptiness, then their grasping towards this lifetime would not be that strong. And that shows, and those are the signs of a successful practice. And he said that since it will not be beyond the 8 worldly concerns, but if we have given up thoughts of this life, we will walk on the path of liberation without involvement in the 8 worldly concerns. Juntunpa is such a great master. You should study more of his teachings. Also, Juntunpa practiced lots of virtuous deeds. In Tibet, we say that Juntunpa would usually have a bag on his back, but that bag is to keep milk in there because the bag is made of the stomach of a yak. And then he would and then he would read texts while working on the chores, and then also chant mantra altogether. He would grind the barley into flour while doing all of those kinds of dharmic activities. At the time of making butter, we have to churn the milk for a very long period of time. It may take about 2 to 3 hours, and then we will be able to get a little piece of butter. So Juntunpa would grind the barley into flour at the same time reading and then chant mantra, and then kept on rubbing on the cow's skin and the leather so that the leather would be rather quite soft. He would and then churn the milk also. So within one period of time he would do a lot of things all together so that at the end of the day, everything would be accomplished. There was another Pandita, I forgot his name, but he composed about 130 volumes of texts. What he does is that at the time of circumambulating the stupa, he would ask 4 of his secretaries standing at the 4 corners of the stupa. And whenever he reaches to one corner of that stupa, he would say something to his secretary so that the secretary would transcribe his teaching. And then by the end of the day, the 4 texts would be accomplished. We can see that kind of effortless accomplishment is demonstrated by Juntunpa. Look at him after he had already seen through the attachments or had already eradicated the attachments of this lifetime. He would practice the correct Dharma. He would eradicate the 8 worldly concerns and then take care of all the daily chores and chant his mantra and read his texts. We ourselves should also learn from the great masters.
nipe dana panshi chan kirka nanchi rarlong chukpa tsubun tsulen droba drora sho